Buckeye fans, let's get it going on week number 2. Anthony Moeglin joining you tonight on the Ohio State Buckeyes on SI YouTube channel. Happy to have you with us here as we turn the page finally from Ohio State's massive win over the Texas Longhorns on Saturday and get ready to face a couple opponents here that Ohio State should be fairly confident about handling. Before we dive into it all, I want to say thank you for the support over the weekend. It was great having a bunch of people in and out of our channel in the comment sections, really interacting with us and doing and making our jobs fun, making it really fun to be down there and providing you guys with great content. So in order to continue doing that, if you're new to the channel, happy to have you here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. That really helps us out as we continue to build our community here. Got some cool things coming your way. If you haven't seen it yet, did a film review episode yesterday on Sunday, and some really good stuff in there. I know the conversation that surrounded Ohio State after that game was Matt Patricia and that Ohio State defense. And certainly there was a lot of good in there, but also some things that Ohio State's going to want to work on this week. And we'll get to some of that on the offensive side of the football here today. And that's going to be really the main focus of our show today is Ohio State's offense. Not necessarily going against Grambling's defense, which we will talk about some of the players for the Tigers, but really kind of what their focus needs to be going into this week 2 matchup. But before we get into that, it is that week 1 in college football is always the best, and this week was no different. There were some awesome matchups. First of all, Saturday, just in general, I know I commented on it yesterday, but I'm going to continue to say it. It's great, just amazing to have football back on the screen, on the TV. I remember walking around the press box up there on Saturday and not only hearing what was going on inside the Horseshoe, but on the TVs, kind of in the hallways. There was just like 10 different games on, and there was so much football, so much action. We saw some really great games. Obviously, it started with the Ohio State-Texas game at noon, but there was a barn burner running alongside our game. It was Tennessee versus Syracuse, 2 brand new quarterbacks for both of those teams. Were obviously familiar with the Tennessee Volunteers, and they showed that, hey, they may have actually upgraded from Nico Iamaleava at the quarterback position, and then did a lot of good things in a game that went from them blowing Syracuse out to Syracuse kind of getting on a roll, kind of getting back into it, and then Tennessee really pulling away there. So that was a ton of fun to at least be monitoring. I didn't get to watch that game, but went back and watched a handful of highlights and clips, and that one looked to be highly entertaining. And then, the biggest conversation, well, there's a lot of big conversations. One of the next great conversations was that Alabama versus Florida State game where it was very clear, I think a lot of people, and I'll speak for myself here. I was hoping to see a different Alabama team under Kalen DeBoer. I think Kalen DeBoer is a solid coach. I used to have him in the really good coach category, but turns out that may not be the case. That Alabama team certainly a shell of itself, of what we've learned or what we come to know what Alabama is in the Nick Saban era, where they're tough. You're scared of them. I know Johnny Manziel commented on it. Like, they've totally lost their fear. Like, nobody fears those guys anymore. And it was very clear. They really went into Florida State and got absolutely pumped as 13.5-point favorites. It's an interesting stat, but that was DeBoer's 4th loss as a double-digit favorite, which ties Nick Saban for Nick Saban's entire career. And DeBoer's done it in just 1 season and 1 game. So it's very disappointing if you're an Alabama fan. Now, on the flip side of it, if you are a Florida State fan, a lot to be excited about there, as they have certainly looked like they have a totally different team, and they did so. They just really punched Alabama in the mouth and won that game. You leave that game going, hey, that is repeatable. Like, you play that game 10 times. Florida State probably wins 9 of them, definitely 8, maybe 8 or 9 of them. They were the better team, and it wasn't a fluke. And they showed some signs of like, hey, this is sustainable. This is going to be something that we continue to grow. And it's really good and refreshing for Seminole fans everywhere, coming off of a 2-10 season just 1 year ago. So that was certainly exciting in the 3:30 window. And then getting into the night window, man, that Clemson LSU game had everything you ever wanted and more. The Tigers versus the Tigers, the Battle of Death Valley, Nussmeier versus Cade Klubnik. And it was actually a fairly similar feel to what we experienced in Columbus on Saturday, where two defenses were kind of getting after each other a little bit. One quarterback kind of separated. The other quarterback cost his team a chance to win the football game. And it was kind of a surprise. I am high on Katie Klubnik, but he showed that, hey, wasn't ready to really answer the call totally. Didn't play badly, but on the other side of things, Nussmeier for LSU showed that, hey, I'm a guy. Like I'm a guy, and I'm going to be. You're going to be hearing from me as the season goes along. And I think the most important thing for LSU fans everywhere is it appears that they have a defense, right? And that's kind of been the one missing piece that this LSU team has been looking for in the Brian Kelly era. And if they have a defense now, you're going to have the top talent that comes from Southern high school football, and it's going to be all wearing purple and gold. So a very positive start for the LSU Tigers, their first win in week one under Brian Kelly in the Brian Kelly era. So they get off on the right foot. Now, going to Sunday, obviously there's a couple of late night games on Saturday night, which sickos like me were up watching. We won't dive into it because I don't know if many people want to hear the recap of Washington versus Colorado State. Now, we'll get into that in a couple of weeks when we do face Washington at the end of September. But going into Sunday, two awesome games on Sunday. First was South Carolina versus Virginia Tech in a game that was back and forth, one that, hey, there's a lot of hype surrounding Lenore Sellers and the South Carolina Gamecocks, and Virginia Tech gave them all they wanted, right? It was a close game. It was an uncomfortable game for Sellers. Like, he was very clearly, spook's not the right word, but very clearly uncomfortable with what he was seeing from the Virginia Tech defense, and couldn't really get into rhythm. And then two massive plays changed the whole thing. The 80-yard punt return for a touchdown, and then the 60-yard touchdown pass from Sellers to his speedy wide receiver. I forget the guy's name, Holder or Hader something. He's a track guy, and it was very clear he's a track guy early in the game. Had a couple bad drops, but when he got the chance to show off his 100-meter speed time, he certainly did that and finished in the end zone. So South Carolina gets a nice win to start the season off. I wouldn't call it a huge win. They probably feel like they could have played better, but in week one, it's just about winning football games. And then Saturday night, man, oh man, what we watched in South Beach between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Miami Hurricanes was an awesome game. I think that it was really good to see that Carson Beck, certainly don't feel bad. Don't feel horribly for the kid. Like, he's pretty well set financially. He's doing all right on and off the field, but you felt bad for him at the end of his Georgia time, where it did feel like he was unwanted in Georgia. And not only did it feel like that, it just was the case. And it looks like he's found a home in Miami. He played very, very well against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And the Irish, man, some head scratching stuff. Their two running backs, Jeremiah Love and Jadavian Price, combined for 10 carries. Like that's not it. And if you know anything about Notre Dame football, which a lot of Ohio State fans do, that would be like Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins having 10 carries in a game. Like those two guys, Jeremiah Love for sure is a Heisman hopeful, and he only had 6 carries on the night. And it ended up coming down to the wire, right? 2 unbelievable catches by the Miami wide receivers proved to be the difference, and then a freaky, goofy turnover by Notre Dame in that final minute, really sealed the deal. Now, coming to tonight in just a couple hours here, just 1 hour from now, we're going to find out what the heck North Carolina and Bill Belichick is, or are, I should say. I have no idea. I tend to believe that, not a hater situation, but I do think that Bill Belichick gets a lot of credit for having the best quarterback of all time, right? When he didn't have Tom Brady, things went downhill in New England. This whole North Carolina situation with Jordan and all that stuff is just weird, man. It's weird vibes. And I don't have any idea of what that team is going to be. They got 70 plus new players, which is interesting to say the least. And they're going to have a challenge taking on the TCU Horned Frogs, who are coming in to just play spoiler. Like, holy cow, this might be the most watched game of the weekend, and it's between 2 unranked teams, and everybody knows the hype that's surrounding the North Carolina football program because of one Bill Belichick. So I'm going to be locked in on what we see in that game, but it will definitely be interesting. But all in all, It was amazing to see football back on the screen. Now we turn the page in college to week 2, which kicks off on Friday night. But NFL week 1 starts on Thursday, right? And we are fully into the swing of things. It's an exciting time for football fans everywhere, and definitely going to be exciting to be here on our channel following the Buckeyes along all year long. So we're going to get more now into Ohio State because I think that we have a huge challenge on our hands going into this Grambling game. But what I do think is that this Ohio State team is such a veteran group, right? And it's led by Caleb Downs on defense and Sonny Styles on defense and some other names that came up. Arvell Reese is one of them, like not that vocal guy, but that player type leader. And then on offense, Jeremiah Smith, and then the guys up front, Austin Saraval, Luke Montgomery, and really the vibe that I get from this group is that it's a very process-oriented group. They don't care who's on the other side of the field. They don't care that it's number 1 Texas or it's Grambling State or it's OU or Washington or Michigan or whatever the case is. They don't care about the opponent. They care about getting better because all these guys know what it takes to get to the mountaintop, right? Well, I shouldn't say all of them. Most of them know what it takes to get to the mountaintop. And when your leaders are setting that type of tone, that makes you very comfortable, makes you sleep really well as a head coach. Now, and we'll get into a little bit more of the mindset of this game here in a little bit, especially on the offensive side of the football. But these weeks, I remember when I played, these weeks when you were playing an inferior opponent were the worst weeks to be a player, like bar none, the worst. Like coaches come in and basically they have to shoot your ego down immediately. Like, oh, you think you're good? Right, we're going to work you all the harder this week because really what Saturday is about isn't the scoreboard, right? You know, it is not, hey, we're going to score more points than Grambling. They're going to use Saturday to improve in certain areas of their football team. We'll get into a little bit of those here in just a few short minutes, but that's what they're going to use for that. And it's so critical for them to just be able to maturely respond to what they did against Texas. Now, looking back to that Texas game, and this will be the last thing we say about Texas, is that, you know, when the chips were down and push came to shove, Ohio State's big players made big plays. Okay, it wasn't pretty throughout the game, right? You know, the highlight plays, the one that's always going to stick out when we're looking back on that Texas game is Carnell Tate. There's no reason he should have caught that football. Like him double clutching it, double catching it, damn near kicked the ball up in the air and snatched it out of the air. That was one that should go down. It won't, but it should go down. It probably wasn't even the best catch of the weekend, but it was, in my opinion, one of the most important. And for the time and place of that catch, was one of the better ones that you'll see because the ball was woefully underthrown on a route that he won big. Like he won his route huge. That ball brought him all the way back to the defender, and then the defender was able to get in and try to break it up. And Carnell said, "No, I'm doing everything in my power to hit the ground with this football," and he did that. But he stepped up in a big way. When you go back to that touchdown drive, right? How did they punch it into the end zone? Well, they ran it 4 times inside the 5-yard line. Hey, who's our best group? Our offensive line. That's what Coach Hartline and Coach Day are telling you, right? When we needed the points, when we needed to get the ball in the end zone, where did we go? We went behind the left side of the offensive line. Luke Montgomery, Austin Saraval, 2 guys who are proven Buckeyes, 2 guys that are reliable, have proved that, hey, what they're doing is great for the team, and follow me into the end zone. That's the type of feel and the type of vibe that you get from those guys. It was really cool listening to Luke talk after the game, just about the environment, about their mindset going into it as an offensive line. I thought it was really neat. If you didn't see it, go check it out on our channel. It's in the video section. Just a quick 2.5-3 minute clip of Luke being able to talk, and that was really cool hearing his insight. But Ohio State on offense went to their big players, went to their playmakers when the chips were down. Now, what I will say was really good in some pressure situations, a couple third downs. I thought Julian Sain was very poised. Like that's the word that everyone's using with saying is poised. And you could see that from the young kid. Like there was a third down backed up where it ended up being a tight window throw to Max Clare, and he just fit it in there, right? He just jumped the velocity up, a couple miles per hour and fit the rock into a tight window and did what he needed to do to move the sticks. There's a handful of those examples throughout the tape. from Saturday. But just a really solid veteran. It felt like a veteran style play on Saturday for an unexperienced group. There's a lot of new guys playing, and when the chips were down, Ohio State went to their important players. So just all in all, like there's a couple things you're going to take from that, but the biggest thing is, hey, they've already turned the page. They turned the page yesterday after their Sunday meetings, right? You go in, you get your workout in, you watch the tape, then you go out and practice. Like they do a full practice on Sundays where, hey, your corrections are X, Y, and Z. We're going to go through those plays. They probably had a script of 20, 30 plays where they went through and just made sure that, oh, you were supposed to fit like this. And you didn't. You fit like this. You were supposed to fit like this. Let's practice it. Or, hey, quarterback, your eyes were here. They should have been here. Let's practice it against that very look, just so that those mistakes don't repeat each other. And then that's kind of what we get to with our next topic here is looking at each position group. What do they have to do to improve heading into week 2? Because again, this is not about scoring more points than Grambling. Like, unfortunately, and this is no disrespect, Ohio State could roll out of bed, not practice for the whole week, and be able to beat Grambling. Has nothing to do with, has everything to do with, it's just a talent difference. And actually, this Grambling game is the first FCS opponent that Ohio State has played since 2023 when they played Youngstown State. So it's been 2 years since they've played an opponent at this level of competition. And it's not about the opponent. Like, it's not about the guy across from you. This week, it's about us. The standard is going to be set so high. And we'll dive into it a little bit more when I get Kevin back on the show. But this is going to be one where, hey, we don't have a good day unless the quarterback is 75% completion. The running backs, average 4.5, 5 yards a pop. And, all of the things, like that's what they're measuring themselves against. They're not measuring themselves against the scoreboard. They're measuring themselves against that. So what does each position group have to work on here? We're going to start up front. We're going to start with the offensive line. Some really good on Saturday. Some things you're going to want to clean up. It wasn't a statistically perfect day for the Ohio State rushing attack. And I was telling some of the guys in the box and Brendan as well, like for me, the most important position group is the running back room, right? Ohio State built their national championship offense off the ability to run the football. Okay. They were, they ran the ball, ran the rock, and they did so behind Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. Okay. So that's where they built their offense. Now, going into this year, it's going to be something similar. Like everyone thinks like, hey, we're just going to be able to drop back and throw the ball to Jeremiah Smith. Not the case, right? You're going to have to, again, establish the run. You saw that from Brian Hartline, like very big emphasis on running the football on Saturday. And it was almost to the point of like, hey, dude, like, remember, you do have wide receivers. For Ohio State, 34 rushing attempts for just 77 yards carrying the ball. That can't happen, right? You obviously beat they were the number 1 team. Let's call them a top 5 team in the country. It was definitely a top 10 team in the country. They beat a top 10 team in the country running the ball poorly, which is a great sign. No doubt about it. Don't get me wrong. An awesome sign. But there's a lot of room to improve. So for Ohio State's offensive line, really the emphasis is, hey, I want to be schematically sound. Am I on the right calls? Am I doing the right things, right? Am I on the right double teams? Are my blocks sound? Or am I doing the proper technique, the proper scheme? And then there has to be a level of nastiness that, you have to kind of develop, right? You saw it. There was a clip going around social media on Saturday of Luke Montgomery and Carson Hinsman, like getting the defensive tackle literally on skates. He like went down to a knee, and those two like pushed him like a sled, like one of those sleds you see on the practice field. They pushed him like a sled for like 6 yards down the field. I called it out in our film review show, and it's certainly one to go back and watch because it was an impressive feat of just strength and an impressive feat of nastiness. Now, that has to be consistent now. That cannot be, hey, we did it on the first play of the game. It needs to show up then in the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter. Okay, so up front, I thought it was really important for them on Saturday to make sure you're schematically sound and make sure that you have you upgrade and uptick that nastiness that you absolutely need to sorry, looking for a stat here to be successful. So after that, I'm going to go to the tight end room. Okay, a high and a low for the tight end room. The high is Will Kazmarek. If you go back and watch the all-22, the back view shot of Carnell Tate's touchdown pass, they go play action, hard play action, and Will is matched up one-on-one with Texas's best defensive end and pass rusher, and that is a recipe for disaster for the offensive guy. Like if you give your tight end just a one-on-one block, really, really tough just in general, and then to do it against the best opposing rusher. One of the better ones in the entire country is literally setting up for a sack. But instead, Kazmarek did what he needed to do to stay in front of his guy and not allow a sack. It was a beautiful display of physicality, of great technique, and then just like this, want to be successful, to win the rep. You could see that hungriness, that hunger to win it. So thought that was really good from Will Kazmarek. What was bad, let's go to Max Clare, right? We've hyped him up on this show. This is a tight end positive podcast here. We're going to get one of these guys on before the end of the year. But Max Clare wants that fourth down catch back, right? It was a good Dover route, that deep over, right? Julian should have thrown the post for a touchdown, to set a earthquake through the state of Ohio, which is what would have happened. But he didn't. He checked the ball down to Clare, and he threw a perfect ball. Clare tried to just drag his feet, ended up, focusing more on the foot than the actual catch. So that's when you're going to want to just clean up and, hey, be ready when your number is called. He comes back on just maybe the next drive or two drives later and has that big third down conversion that I was talking about just a second ago, being in the right place, right time, and kept making a nice contested catch in traffic. So some good stuff for the tight ends, some bad stuff for the tight ends. Just no mental mistakes, no drops from that group. Now, receivers, I said the word drops, no freaking drops anymore. Jeremiah, not even worried about it. Not even, I bet it wasn't even acknowledged. I bet it was, hey, dude, clean it up, from Ryan Day. Probably went right up to him, hey, clean it up next week. And that's all that needs to be said, because if anybody holds themselves to the highest standard, it's Jeremiah Smith. He does believe that he is the best player in college football. He ain't alone in that. There's a lot of people out there that believe that as well for number 4. Again, I said it in the film review show yesterday. Those plays weren't like going to be game-changing plays. The one was a 3rd and 14 screen, which he would have got tackled on. The other was another screen pass, like not like life or death situations, but just clean that up. You can't have that. Brandon Ennis, big drop on that 3rd down. The one where Ohio State lucked out, got the face mask call. They ended up punching it in. It was a perfect ball from Julian to Ennis up the sidelines. Ennis just like off the fingertips. Certainly one that he's going to absolutely want back. So it's just drops for the receiver group. Like that group always plays so hard. They're coached so well. They block. They do everything the right way. Just was an uncharacteristic day with a couple drops from your better players. One that I'm not even a little bit concerned will continue into next week. Going into the running back room, I think it's going to be a big week for these guys. Now, I think that it's going to be a good opportunity for Ohio State to continue to experiment with that room, right? C.J. Donaldson got most of the run on Saturday. He was definitely the feature back, 19 carries for 67 yards. I laughed about it. He comes by it honestly, 3.5 yards a pop. He is a career 3 yards in a cloud of dust runner, and he certainly was that on Saturday. James Peoples was the question mark for me. 10 carries for Peoples, 21 yards. And his long was of 6 yards. So he was averaging just 2 yards a carry. And that's not what you want, right, from him. A lot of people were very high on James Peoples. I was one of them. And I thought he was going to be the feature guy, where CJ would be more that situational guy. And I think that maybe I'm proven wrong in that. But being able to run the football is going to be critical for this offense, because it takes the pressure off of your young quarterback, and is exactly what they need to do to continue to get Julian saying, improving and staying very confident. So I need to just see a uptick in the production from that running back room. Keep running hard, and let's just keep our eye on, as fans here, keep our eye on the rotation of that room. Like, where does Peoples get the carries? Where does Donaldson get the carries? Is it consistent? Like, it was 2-1 on Saturday. Is that going to be a consistent theme, being that 2-1 for Donaldson to Peoples? So definitely something to keep your eye on. And then lastly, it's the quarterback position. Julian, solid, right? solid is the way I described Julian. 13 to 20 for 126 and 1. 2 drops on the day, right? Or 3 drops, I should say. 2 by Jeremiah, 1 by Max Clare. Yeah, you want those back. So let's just say that he gets you to 16 to 20, which is good. And then let's say, you got the flip side of it with Carnell's crazy catch. So you're about 16 of 20, 17 of 20, something like that is probably your real feel. For maybe 180 yards as opposed to 126. The ball was never in danger, which was amazing, right? It never one time, no Texas player had his hands on it. There was never a situation where, hey, this ball is it is even in danger of being intercepted, which is very positive. Now, I'd like to see, hey, dude, this week, let's take the training wheels off, okay? We're going to take some shot plays. You got to throw it, right? Trust number 4 and give number 4 a chance to go make that big-time play, that spectacular play. So for me, for the quarterback, it's, hey, maybe not take the training wheels off this week, but this is a good week to start getting those tools out, loosening those training wheels out because they got to come off here very soon as Big Ten play is just coming up in a few short weeks. So each position group definitely has something to work on to get better at going into Grambling. And like I said, that is going to be the mindset going into this game. Is it ain't about beating Grambling on the scoreboard. Like, I don't want to see the guys, they win this game 21 to 10, right? They're not going to be happy, and they won't be, right? You won't see it because they won't be happy. And the standard is going to be what they are evaluated against. So Ohio State is going to be focused primarily on what they're doing. But on the other side of the football, this Grambling team, I'm not going to say they're going to scare you, but they got some guys, okay? This is Ohio State's first FCS opponent since they played Youngstown State in 2023. I already shared that with you. No all-time matches between the two schools. It's rare to see that they've never played before, never locked horns even at all. But Grambling is coming off of a massive win over the Langston Lions. Okay, add that to your bingo card of teams you were going to discover today. The Langston Lions, it was one of their, it was like the Battle of the Bayou, I do believe is what it was called. Langston's a Louisiana team, just as Grambling State is. And the game went well in Grambling's way. Like, Grambling is a very middling team in the SWAC. They haven't had a winning season in the last 5 years. The one name that many Ohio State fans would, if you're a Browns fan and Ohio State fan, you would know the name Hugh Jackson, of course. He was the head coach at Grambling before he was let go 2 seasons ago. And now they got a new guy in there, and they're trying to turn things around. But this isn't like, hey, Ohio State's playing the best, MAC school or the best SWAC school. Like, this is a very middle of the pack SWAC team, and one that Ohio State's going to be licking their chops to get after. So, like I said, 55-7 victory over Langston. They scored 52 unanswered points before tacking on a late field goal to win 55-7. But as you may expect, it was kind of purely it was very dominated by by Grambling, specifically the Grambling defense. They played a lot of guys when you win a game like that. We'll get into some of their offensive stats later in the week on Wednesday's show. But on the defensive side of the ball, they had 2, 3.5 sacks, 5 sacks on the day. They forced 1 turnover. Got to the quarterback a bunch, had a handful of TFLs. But like I said, they had guys at all levels of the football flying around and getting to the ball. Up front, there's going to be 2 guys to keep an eye on. The first one is defensive lineman number 4. His name's Bryce Cage. He's a transfer from Utah State. He's a senior, and he got the season off on the right foot. He finished the day against Langston with 4 tackles. He had 1.5 TFLs. And he's going to be in the middle. He's going to be one of those interior defensive linemen. He's huge, 6'5", 270 pounds. It's a little thin for what you're looking for in the interior of the defensive line, but he's going to be a guy that, hey, Ohio State's going to have circled. Okay, let's take care of number 4. Don't let him ruin stuff in the middle as we're trying to get our run game going and improve protecting the quarterback and in the pass game. So, Bryce Cage, that's number 4 up front, someone to keep your eye on. And then he runs next to Marquise Styles. He wears number 45. Now, Styles, a little bit different of a guy. He's listed as a defensive lineman. Has to be a typo somewhere because he's listed as 6'3", 205 pounds. For context clues, I'm 205 pounds, okay? Like, you don't want me at the interior defensive line. And if that is the case, like Luke Montgomery, Carson Hinsman, Tegra, all those guys better be licking their chops if they've got 205 pounds on the opposing side of the defensive line. Now, that is all to say that he had 3 tackles on Saturday and he had 1 sack. So he had one of Grambling's 5 sacks. And he's going to be wearing number 45. He can get after the quarterback. I'll be very curious to see if he's actually 205 pounds. It feels to me like somebody made a mistake somewhere. But I've been wrong once. I'll be wrong a million more times. And we'll see what's – and it's not Styles. It's Marquise Sykes. Apologies on that. Marquise Sykes. Where's number 45? Someone to keep your eye on. Okay, moving back a level to the linebacker room. The lead guy, the lead dog in that room is number 6, Jamal Jordan. Now, Jordan is a sophomore, and he's all these guys are like transfer guys, right? They come in, coming from different schools. He was I believe, a JUCO guy. His first college was Evangel Christian Academy. Don't know anything about it. So I do believe it may be a JUCO. It also may not be. So he comes in and he started his season on the right foot. Like, again, a younger guy. He is a sophomore, but finished the day on Saturday with 3 tackles. Okay. So like not even good numbers, but just 1 solo, 2 assists. But like we said, Langston's offense wasn't on the field much. They had less than 100 yards of total offense. So Grambling held them to less than 100 yards of total offense, and Jordan was in on a handful of tackles for the Tigers. Now, on the back end, the guy who made the big play for Grambling is defensive back Tyrell Raby. Now, Raby comes from he transferred in from Memphis, right? So that's a big school that everyone should be familiar with. But Raby wears number 5, and he had the big interception on Saturday. 1 tackle on the day, but had that pick for 29 yards, a 29-yard return, and then he also had another pass breakup to go along with that interception. So a handful of guys. Raby wears number 5, like I said, but a handful of guys. You got Cage and Sykes up front. You got Jamal Jordan at the 2nd level, and then you got Tyrell Raby there at the 3rd level of the defense. Some guys to keep an eye out for, but again, Ohio State's not focused about the opponent. Ohio State is going to be focused on what they need to do to continue to improve and get better because their mind's set well beyond winning on Saturday afternoon. So, all right, we're going to get out of here with this. What are our keys to the game coming up this weekend? There's only a couple of them. And when you look at this game, I'm not going to sit here and say this is a trap game. This is not a trap game. The trap games are going to come later in the schedule when we get into Big Ten play. And, you're looking at Washington, a trip out west. You're looking at a trip to Illinois. You're looking at a trip to Wisconsin. Like, we didn't even get into that. We should do a Big Ten whip around, and we will do that on Wednesday because, holy moly, there were some interesting games, especially on Thursday night when the MAC showed up early at least. Gave Rutgers everything they wanted, gave Wisconsin everything they wanted, gave Minnesota everything they wanted. And Washington was in a kind of a back and forth with Colorado State. Like, everybody in the Big Ten kind of got challenged a little bit with that, outside of Penn State and even Oregon. It's just really important for, like I was saying, this isn't a trap game. Wouldn't even be a little concerned about this being a trap game. But for me, the keys to the game for Ohio State are very simple, right? It is improve everything that we talked about in those positional cleanups. Like, we got to improve, right? I need quarterback. I need you to take more shots. I need you to play better. Keep that ball out of danger. Let's continue to get better up front. Let's move. Let's move, guys. If they're defensive linemen, if their defensive tackle is 205 pounds, move his ass, and get him out of the way. Let's open the lanes up for the running backs. And running backs, let's go, man. You're the running back at Ohio State. Like, we can't be pitter-pattering in holes. We can't be, waiting for stuff to develop. You got to go, and you got to go hard. And your receivers, there should be zero footballs on the ground, right? The ball hits your hands, it should be caught. My biggest pet peeve as a former quarterback, pretty much everybody who watches football's biggest pet peeve is drop passes. And I say that knowing that, hey, Jeremiah didn't try to drop that. Max Clare didn't try to drop that. But you got to make the plays. Make the plays that are there, and then the big ones will come. And then for the tight ends, again, Max, make the catch, man. Come on, let's go. 4th down, going to need that at some point during the rest of the year. You need to be ready when your number's called. But the flip side, the positive side, keep blocking your tails off, right? Ohio State's tight ends always do a really good job of being a member of the run game. Not being a spectator, but being a participant, and making sure that their presence is felt inside. So set the standard high and go reach that standard, get past it, and everybody will leave the Horseshoe on Saturday feeling pretty darn good. For the fans, okay, that's the keys of the game for the Buckeye offense, right? For the fans, it's going to be a different environment, okay? We were blessed to be a part of a 1-2 perfect afternoon, week 1. That was incredible. That day is gone, okay? The next real environment like that is going to be the Penn State game in a few months, but we're going to be yearning for a little bit of that. But enjoy the heck out of whatever Saturday is, right? There's only so many. There are only 12 football games. We're already talking about week 2 for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So anytime you're in the Horseshoe, anytime you're able to be there watching these Ohio State Buckeyes play, they're going to give it their all. So come in, enjoy it, and have a ton of fun watching the Ohio State Buckeyes play. Doesn't matter if it's against Texas, Michigan, Penn State, or Grambling. All right, anytime you get the chance to be in the shoe, take advantage of it. Take full advantage of it. So appreciate everyone jumping in with me tonight, wherever you're catching this. If you've made it this far, God bless you. Hopefully you learned something. And if you did learn something, I'm going to steal something from a buddy of mine. Brooks Austin runs the Film Guy Network. If you're watching me, there's a really good chance that you've come across Brooks at some point because he does amazing work. He focuses a lot on Georgia. That's kind of where he cut his teeth. And he works for Georgia's on SI group, but he also just watches tape. He's a ball junkie just like me, and he watches tape. But he said his requirement on his channel is if you learn something, you're required to subscribe. So if you're new to the channel and you learned something today, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on our videos. Those help us get ourselves in front of more folks. And then as always, comment. Go to my Twitter. Hit me up if you don't agree with me. Drop a comment in the video. I'm always in the video. I was just in the comment section of the videos just a little bit ago. Just responding to some folks for jumping in on that film review show. So make sure you're doing all those things. Make sure you're hitting our written content. You'll see it below me on this ticker. Follow along there on all of our socials, but also get over to Ohio State Buckeyes on SI. That's si.com/college/Ohio State to get everything that we want. So Ohio State's biggest challenge this week is how do you respond after an amazing victory against Texas? That is gone. That is gone. I live by it, right? You did great on Saturday. You won. Good. See ya. We don't even talk about it ever again because our next mission is getting better against Grambling State. Thanks for jumping in and hanging out with me. I'm Anthony Moeglin. We'll see you again later in the week. Oh, show schedule for the week before I get out of here. Wednesday, we'll do defense. Friday, we'll do a college football whip around, and then we'll be just the same on Saturday, right? I'll have a pregame show. I'll do my 100-yard walk. If you didn't see that, go check it out. It's on the YouTube channel. It's in our short section. 100-yard walk, something I'll be doing every week, which is exciting. Then we're after the game. We got all the press conferences from the players and coaches. Then we got a live reaction show, and then Sunday, film review episode. I love doing it. Yesterday's was really good. It was a little bit of a banger. So jump into that if you haven't seen it. Go back and watch and learn what our Buckeyes did. But I'm going to shut up now. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Anthony Moeglin. We'll catch you again later here on the Ohio State Buckeyes on SI YouTube channel.